Here we go today, California Penal Code. Today we're going to go over Penal Code sections 1002 to 1006, and these we use for a demur, and a demur is a challenge to the sufficiency of a charging instrument or any document. So 1002 says, the only pleading on the part of a defendant is either a demur or a plea. So when you plea, there's 6 types of pleas: guilty, not guilty, nolo contendere, etc. So you have a choice to either plea or demur. So demur is you're challenging the charging instrument against you. In Penal Code 1003, both the demur and the plea must be put in open court, either at the time of arraignment or at such other time as may be allowed to the defendant for that purpose. So there's many times that the commissioner or judge is going to say, you should have filed that, you can't do it over the bench. Well, Penal Code 1003 says it must be put in an open court at the time of arraignment. They're supposed to hand it to them and they're supposed to stamp it filed as of that day. Penal Code 1004, the defendant may demur to the accusatory pleading at any time prior to the entry of a plea. So that's the key. You can do this at any time prior to the entry of a plea, when it appears upon the face thereof either, and then they have 4 items. Number 1, if an indictment at the grand jury, we don't care about that. At the end of number 1 it says, or if any information or complaint that the court has no jurisdiction of the offense charged therein. Again, an information is another word for charge. Number 2, that it does not substantially conform to the provisions of Section 950 and 952, and also Section 951 in the case of an indictment or information. So that's the one that's important with us, is 951, and I'm going to do those little clusters on another video. Number 3 is that more than one offense is charged, except as provided in Section 954. Number 4, that the facts stated do not constitute a public offense. These are all things that you can charge on the demur. That number 5, that it contains matter which, if true, would constitute a legal justification or excuse of the offense charged or other legal bar to the prosecution. Penal Code 1005, the demur must be in writing, signed either by the defendant or his counsel, and filed. And that means it's filed, stamped over the court. It must distinctly specify the grounds of objection to the accusatory pleading, or it must be disregarded. So we need to state in the demur what we object to. And if you don't do it, you can't come back later and say that you object to those. This is your chance to put in any one of the things that you feel is not proper. So, and the key is 1006. So Penal Code 1006. Upon the demur being filed, the argument upon the objections presented thereby must be heard immediately. Unless for exceptional cause shown, the court shall grant for a continuance. Such continuance shall be for no longer than the ends of justice require, and the court shall enter in its minutes the facts requiring it. So this is the key. The judge will always say, you should have filed it, you know, I can't take it over the bench, even though it says it must be filed in open court at time before plea at time of arraignment. Well, and this also says when you file it, it must be heard immediately. And I don't know how many times I go to traffic court and do the demur, and they say, well, the district attorney is not required to be here. Well, that's not our fault. It's their code. They wrote the penal code. And also, we've got people off with this. It says, and the court shall enter in its minutes the facts requiring it. So if they say, well, we need to give you in a continuance because the district attorney is not here, we'll give them 10 days to answer your demur. They must state the grounds. They must state the reason why and put it in the record. And most of the time they don't. They'll just say, we're giving you 10 more days. So we've had several cases dismissed from this. So this is great. If you want to know what this means, or understand how you're supposed to use it, or how to put it together in a defense or an attack against the prosecution, you got to go to our site, CaliforniaTicketBusters.com, and learn the secrets on how to put this recipe together for a surefire win.